And you want me to take it from the top?
No, you're fine. Unless you want to, because I will edit this.
Okay, we should probably take it from the
Let's
top
take
because
it
we
from the top. Shoot, this is good.
everybody.
This is good.
You know what? And I didn't even hear that part, and I was like, wait. I was like, oh, okay. And then I just
Yeah,
got going. Okay,
but
starting
I'm
from the
so
top.
excited. Yeah, starting from the top. All right, April, you got
That
this.
worked because we had a mishap. All right. So hello, everybody. So this is about, do you have a life plan? This is learn the framework that will help you take control of your finances. I am your host, April Brown. So there is one thing that I tell my clients, and that's this: your financial decisions today affect your financial future tomorrow. So I'm April Brown with Zelkin Financial Services, LLC, and I wanted to talk to you today about your finances. Have you ever thought about your finances? Do your finances keep you up at night? Do you have a life plan? And if you do, is it serving you in all aspects of your life? Have you ever made a life plan? If you've not made a life plan, and I want you to know that you are in the right place. So I'm a retired captain out of the Durham Police Department in North Carolina. It wasn't until I was facing retirement around 2020 that I thought about, what am I going to do after I retire? I was fairly young and I knew I wanted to do something. I just didn't know what that something was. And then remember, 2020 hit around the same time I'm thinking about retirement. And my dream was to go travel the world and live overseas, but then COVID changed all of that. So I had to rethink my game plan. So what ended up happening was I fell into the financial services industry. That's another story for another day. And so, since being in the financial service industry, there have been many things that I've learned, and I've realized some mistakes that I've made in my working years as I was trying to build towards retirement. And since working with different clients who pretty much vary the gambit, they're at different stages of their life, got me to thinking about retirement plans and life plans. So when you're in your 20s and 30s, you're thinking about retirement, but that's not always in the forefront of your mind. So my thought was, what about life planning? What does that look like? So I know there are several questions, about, financial service industry and what to do and how to be thinking about, what's your life plan or what's your retirement plan. And so there were been some really eye-opening and telling things that I've seen. And there are so many points of views out there. There are a ton. But one of the things I wanted to just kind of hit on four of them. Managing your debt. Have you ever tried managing your debt or can't or really just can't seem to get it controlled? Or maybe you've tried consolidation loans. What about retirement planning? Have you ever worried about retirement planning or even thinking about it? They've got lots of articles that talk about all the generations, what their thought process is, what they're thinking about, where they're at in reference to retirement. What about investing? So the question is, how do you invest? Really, what do you invest in? The market has been crazy ups, crazy downs. Do you understand it? If you don't understand it, do you want to understand it? And then the last piece I have on here is purchasing a home. So, yes, purchasing a home is something to think about. But one of the interesting things that happened was recently I listened to a podcast where the guy's basically like, hey, I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't buy a home. And I was like, I'm going to listen to it. And he had a really interesting thought process behind it. And so, things to think about. So, how to deal with financial challenges you will encounter. I hope you're prepared to take notes. So, financial challenges. Did you know that 1 in 4 persons grade themselves a C or a D or an F for understanding personal finances? Did you know 60% of all US households don't budget? Remember, there are 326.7 million people in the United States. And if 1 out of 4 people don't understand their personal finances, how can we be prepared for retirement? And do you fall in that 60% who don't understand budget, or who are in that one in four people struggling with financial understanding? Quiz time. Are you ready? So this is an opportunity for us to play around. See what you know, what you don't know. So there are 10 questions, and for each question, it's worth 1 point. If you answer yes, and if you don't answer, that's no points. So no means just it's not a point. All right, we ready? Here we go.
Yes, yes, I'm ready.
All right. So the first question, do you have a will or a trust in place? Next question. When was the last time you updated the beneficiaries on your policy and or retirement account? Third question. If you have pets, I'm sorry, if you have children, have you named the person or persons who would care for them if you and your spouse or just you were to pass unexpectedly? Number four, if you have pets, have you named the person who would take care of them if you were to pass away? If you faced a $400 emergency, could you pay for it with cash instead of credit card? Number five, do you have a 3 to 6 month expenses? I'm sorry, do you have 3 to 6 months of expenses um, that you saved in your emergency fund? Number seven, if a medical emergency prevented you from working for a month, could your family manage financially without your income? Number eight, if your income were 75,000 or 75K and you have children, do you need 1 million plus life insurance to protect you against unexpected death? Number nine, do you have 6 to 12 months worth of expenses set aside in case you're laid off? Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. Uh-oh. And number 10, messing around trying to get something. Um, Number 10 is, dang it. Sorry, y'all. Are you actively saving for your retirement? All right, tally up your score.
So I gotta admit, I don't have a good score. I don't have a that's
I'm
one of
gonna,
the
I'm gonna,
reasons.
it's okay. I'm gonna go through the scores. I'm gonna go
I
through. I'm
can't
gonna
wait for Q&A because I have a lot of questions.
go through the scores. So from 0 to 3, that means you're high financial risk, which means that you're financially vulnerable. So without proper planning for emergencies, job loss, or unexpected life events, that could create a financial stress for your family. If
Yeah.
you for in 4 to 6, so 4 to 6 points, that means some financial stability. However, there are some gaps that exist. If you're 7 to 9, you're pretty well prepared. So there could always be some optimizations as you can do, but remember to always look at your plan yearly. And if you're a 10, that means you're financially secured and prepared. So who got a 10? That's what I want to know. All right. So thank you for participating in that. I know it leaves lots of questions for you, and some of you are like, I like this quiz because it really does hit on quite a few things for people to consider and think about. Because we don't necessarily think about pets if we have them. Children, yes, but not necessarily your pets. All right, moving on. So let's talk about financial challenges. So in this, you're gonna what you're gonna learn are these secrets that I will you're gonna learn the secrets that I'm gonna be revealing to you going forward. First, you're gonna learn to use what you already have access to and didn't know. Secondly, you're going to get to learn about those one thing that you know about, but you don't necessarily use. And then there's one suggestion that will help you be ready for retirement. I have one, just one. Want to overload you. All right, let's talk about it. Secret one. So, how this one strategic move can help you grow your wealth. Just one. And what is it? Haha, qualified plans. So, I'm going to define what qualified plans are. Basically, it's a retirement plan. This is the definition that I found in the dictionary that says it's an employer sponsored retirement plan that meets the requirements of the Internal Revenue Code, what they call the IRC, and the Employment Retirement Income Security Act, ERISA, making it eligible for certain tax benefits. So these can include tax deductions for the employer and the employee's contribution and tax deferral of investment gains. So what does that all mean? So basically, it just means that the employer and the employee get a tax break. So the employer gets a tax break or what they call tax credits. The employee gets a tax break through their contributions. And so I'll just go into a little further what that means, but I just want to tell you there are two types. I call it two flavors. One flavor is defined benefits, and that is defined as, and I want to give you the dictionary of it. It's defined as a retirement plan that guarantees employees a specific and predictable income stream in retirement. It's guaranteed. So it's based on a formula, and that has lots of factors to it. So, for instance, I retired in North Carolina as what I call a LEO, so law enforcement official. In my retirement, my formula, because I have a pension, that is what a defined benefits plan is. It's based on a formula. So it's a factor. They call it. It's like a numbers or a timetable factor that's kicked in. Um, my years of service, my sick time, the highest 4 years of salary I made. It's all these different factors that come together in a formula, and then it tells me what I'm going to make every year from this point forward. Now, with some pension plans or defined benefit plans, they may have something called a COLA, which is a cost of living adjustment. And that gives you a bump in your money every year to keep up with inflation. Some have it, some don't. So, what's a defined contributions plan? Most people know that as a 401k or 403b. So, that is defined as a retirement plan where both the employee and the employer, or either, contribute to an individual account. And that retirement benefit depends on the accumulation contributions and investment performance of that account. So, what does that mean? For those of you, we're going to speak on 401k, it's just easier. Most people know what that is. So, if you have a 401k, if you're working for an employer, your employer may or may not give a match. So, I think the max of the match can be up to 10%. So some give 3, some give 5. It just depends. If they give you a match, that means that whatever you contribute to, they're going to contribute the match to that. So if they do up to 3% and you go with the 3%, that means you're doubling your money without really thinking about it. So that's the thing with the contribution or defined contribution. So know this: most employers have a qualified plan. Most that they offer their employees. Everyone gets a tax break, and I spoke about that earlier. And so, just to give a definition, or not definition, but to describe what the contribution looks like for um, the defined contribution plan, I had started to go into it. So, I'll just give you a. We're going to keep it for easy numbers. So, let's say you make $100,000. Let's say your employer says, "Hey, listen, we're willing to give you 5% match to if up to 5%." So you go, oh, I'm going to put in 5%. So you put in 5%, your employer puts in 5%. Now that's 10%. So 10% of $100,000 is $10,000. That's going into your 401k. So what that means is where your tax break comes in is two ways. $10,000 gets to grow unencumbered. That means the IRS does not tax your money every year. Now, on the other side of that is you're only being taxed by the IRS for now 90,000 as opposed to 100,000. So that's how that works in terms of the defined contribution. And so this is what I call the secret sauce to saving money without thinking about it. Because if you let that money sit and grow and you don't think about it, and you stay with that company, and even if you leave, you can take your money with you. That's it. It's a no-brainer. And on top of that, if you get a match, take opportunity to take the match because that doubles your money without you really having to work that hard to do that. All right. So, still talking about qualified plans. I wanted to talk about this because I wanted you to have a little backdrop and some understanding of what's really happening right now today. So I'm sure most of you are familiar with the Secure Act 2.0. The first time they passed it was the Secure Act of, I think, 2018, 2019. No, 2018. And then they came back with the 2.0 for 2019. So there are a couple of things that it automatically does that if you have a qualified plan, you should really be familiar with. So it's called automatic enrollment. If you are hired by a company for the first time, you're automatically enrolled in a 401k or a 403b. You're just automatically enrolled. And they're going to do a minimum amount. And if it's more than what you want to put, or then you say, hey, I don't want to put that amount, I want to put this amount, but you should put some money into it, just the same. And then they have a student loan match. Now, this was really interesting to me because I did not know this piece, but I thought, oh, that's really nice for somebody who has student loans. So the student loan match says an employer can now choose, that's the key phrase, choose to contribute to an employee's retirement plan based on their student loan payment. So if your employer chooses to do that, take advantage. Because let's say you have easy numbers, your student loan is $500 a month. Well, if they even give you half of that or up to that, that helps to alleviate and take some stress off of you because now they kind of cancel each other out. So that's that. And then the next one is the increased catch up contribution. Now that is for the older the older employee who would have been such as myself. That's for 50 plus. Basically, you have an opportunity to pay about 70 up to 7,500 to play catch up in terms of your retirement plan. That's what that does. And then they have a small employer tax credit for those of you that are small business owners. You can possibly use that as a tax credit if you offer it to your employees. And then the other two kind of fall hand in hand is hardship distribution self-certification. So if you have a hardship that you can self-certify, you would be allowed to take some money out of your 401k. And then the emergency withdrawal, same thing. If you have an unexpected emergency, you may be allowed to take money out of your 401k. You would just have to check with your employer. So that is the kind of like a quick summary of the new retirement savings changes that have happened with under 2.0. All right, moving into the second secret. So secret two, one simple step to secure your future. And what might that be, you ask? Ah, your estate plan. Now, I'm going to harp on this, and I know I'm going to beat a dead horse. I'm telling you what from I'm going to do it. So just know that. All right. So what does that mean? Do you have an estate plan? That is the question. If you do, that is fantastic. If you don't, that's okay too, because you can get one. So if you don't, when you do plan, when do you plan to create one? It probably should be sooner than later. I'm just going to say that. And I know it can be difficult, but really think about that. So I know some people think, I don't need a plan because I don't have much to pass on, or they're thinking they're not really thinking about it, or some people are just like, well, whatever happens to me, they'll figure it out. Mm, do you really want that to be what you leave as a legacy, just to figure it out? So no matter what assets you have or you don't have, it is essential to put them in some type of will, at the very least, just at the very least. That way, there are no questions about who gets what and how you want things divided. If you don't have an estate plan, I'm sorry, if you do have an estate plan, when was the last time you updated it? That's important. It's very important. Because I know life be lifing, and we look up and it's like, oh my God, 5 years have passed. What happened? How did time go by so quickly? So I'm gonna tell you a story. This is story time. So I had a coworker when I was working at the PD who got married, then got divorced, um, and she forgot to update her beneficiary account for her retirement. She unexpectedly died. And when it came time for them to distribute that money, guess who got it? Take a wild guess. Her ex-husband. Her ex-husband who she hated in the end, and so did her friends, but he got her money. So I tell this story to say it is really, really important for you to keep up with your beneficiary information. So if things change, you make sure you change. So things don't happen the way you don't want them to happen. So your estate planning is more than just writing a will or creating a trust. There are other key factors to consider when planning for your estate. I want you to think about this. Take the time to plan your estate because it ensures your wishes are honored. And it's not just about who gets the house or who gets the money, it's about securing your legacy and protecting your loved ones. All right. So I'm going to talk about 4 things that your estate plan does for you. 4 reasons. So one, estate plans protects the beneficiaries. That is the main component of estate planning is designating heirs for your assets, whether it's a summer house or a stock portfolio. Without an estate plan, the courts often decide who gets your assets, a process that can take years, rack up fees, and really pretty much get downright ugly. My mother always told me this. She said, weddings and funerals is where relationships between families can fall apart. So, number 2, estate plan protects your young children and pets. This is where this is where the portion of the your estate plan becomes crucial, especially with young children. You want to ensure that your children are cared for according to your wishes. You must name a guardian or guardians in the event of both parents passing away before they turn 18. Without the will that specifies these guardians, the courts will step in and they'll decide who raises your children. And the question is, do you really want that? And don't forget about your pets. What happens to your pets when you pass away? Who takes care of your pets? Or will your pets end up in a shelter? And remember, Your pets depend on you to take care of them even after you're gone. So that's why it's important to include them in your estate planning. Ensure that they're placed in a loving hands by naming a caregiver and setting aside some funds to take care of them. Yeah, I said it. Set aside money to take care of the pets too. So, number three, an estate plan spares heirs a big tax bite, which means it's all about protecting your loved ones, in part, giving them protection from who I call the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, because Uncle Sam will come for your money, especially estate. So it's essential to estate planning is making sure you transfer assets to the heirs with an eye towards creating the smallest possible tax burden on them. And number four, an estate plan eliminates family messes. I'm sure some of you have heard how messy things can be when there is a lack of an estate plan in place. Remember weddings and funerals. So estate planning enables you to choose who controls your finances and the assets if you become mentally incapacitated. And I will talk about that a little later or after you die. And it will go a long way towards quelling any family strife and ensuring that your assets are handled in the way that you intended. Believe it or not, I like this section. So, this is the believe it or not. You have an estate. In fact, nearly everyone does. Your estate includes your own car, your home, other real estate, your bank accounts, your investments, life insurance policies, furniture, and any other personal possessions you own. No matter how large or modest, everyone has an estate. And the one thing we all have in common is you can't take it with you when you die. So let's be honest. No one likes to talk about their mortality. Nobody. Most people want to live a long and enjoyable life. So often people don't start thinking about this until one or two things. Either they're nearing death or they've had a traumatic um, experience around death or something that could lead to that. And so when that happens, things come into focus for folks. And then they're like, uh-oh, I might need to make some plans. So I'm going to tell you another story. This story involves my family. At the time, around 2017, my aunt, my mother's oldest sister, was diagnosed with breast cancer. And she really didn't have a lot of time. And so we actually went home to visit her, to say our goodbyes, and to spend time with her. In the process of all of that, we realized she didn't have a will. So we had to scramble to get her in front of a lawyer so she could get her will planned out. And in all of that, you want to know what dawned on me? What dawned on me was I knew and I thought about how stressful and nerve wracking this was, not for us, but really for her. So it's important that estate planning is more than just creating a will or a trust. I've said that before. There are many moving parts to ensuring that your wishes are met after you depart this earth. So planning ahead can prevent peace of mind for both you and your loved ones. So, the last piece around this is, do you really want the courts to make a decision for you? So let's talk about estate planning in reference to death and disability. Death is simple, but what happens afterwards is not. If you pass away without a will, your estate goes through probate court. Probate court can be lengthy and costly process and often causing unnecessary stress for your loved ones. So proper estate planning ensures your assets are distributed according to your wishes and delays expenses. Avoids delays and expenses. Sorry. Then there's disability. I did mention that earlier, and I'm going to harp on that now. That's a completely different beast. So if you haven't planned properly for the possibility of illness or incapacity, you may find yourself unprepared for what happens next. If you're single with children or you have no children and you become disabled, it's really important to have something in place. So your name is on the title of your assets, but due to mental or physical incapacity, you can no longer manage your affairs. So do you want the courts to decide for you in your time of need who they're going to appoint to take care of those things for you? And it may be somebody you know, or it may be somebody you don't know on your behalf. And if you haven't planned ahead, the court will step in through what they call a conservatorship or a guardianship, depending on what state you're in, to oversee and ultimately control how your assets are used for your care. So this process can be expensive, time consuming, and may not align with your wishes. So proper estate planning can help you maintain control and ensure your needs are met according to your preferences. This is why I beat that horse dead. Estate planning is really, really important. All right, on to the third secret. So, one step today to ensure retirement tomorrow. And what is that third secret? Ha ha! It's the rules around investing. Now, rules for investing. You should start now. Start now. They're really important. You start early, you get an opportunity to build. Um, and as they say, you can kind of ride the wave when you're younger in terms of starting early. Number two is the economy does not equal the market. So they they influence each other. That's what happens. So the economy can grow and the market will grow and they influence each other. Now, when the market takes a dive, well, the economy, you know, it's influenced by the market. So it's like, oh, what's going on? What's happening? Should we grow? Should we not grow? What's going on? And we see that now. The market took a dive and everybody was like, what's happening? What's going on? And so they influence each other. They just don't equal each other. And so number three is timing is everything. The younger investor can take a they can afford to take a hit. So they say. However, when you're older, such as myself, having money in the market may not be the most optimal thing because if the market takes a 50% hit, can I afford my money to take a 50% hit when I am in my retirement years? Yes, I am still retired early, but still, do I want that? And so timing is everything. And you just gotta be thinking and mindful about that. Number four is the last piece of this, and that is aim for balance. So basically, all they're talking about here is balancing your portfolio, meaning you should have stocks, what they call EFTs, which are exchange traded funds, have some bond components in it. So you want to have some diversity within your stock portfolio itself. So if some things are up, some things may be down, but it's bad when everything's down. But the idea is that when bonds are up, stocks might be down. When stocks are down, bonds are supposed to be up, that kind of thing. So those are the rules around investing. Now, I talked about that and I wanted to talk about this called Do You Know? So in the secret three, we're really talking about retirement and how to save in that way and how to create and build your wealth in that particular way. But I wanted to talk to you about this. I'm sure some of you may have heard it, but maybe not. It's called the old retirement model. So there are two. They've got an old retirement model and they have a new retirement model. This is what used to happen back in the day. And back in the day, it was before the 1980s. I'm laughing because I I was growing up during that time. But anyway, You got three things. As you see, this lovely triangle here represents your retirement. So at the base of it is pensions, which are really have gone the way of the birds. It's probably about 19% of the population has those. You got Social Security, which is supposed to kick in. Believe it or not, Social Security is supposed to be the backbone of your retirement. That was the intended purpose. Not necessarily happening right now, but that was the intended purpose. And then savings. See how small savings are. So the idea was that your pension, Social Security, and savings, all three of those would help to create your retirement. They call it the three-legged retirement plan. Now, that's no longer happening. That hasn't been happening since really the 1980s. And I'll tell you why. It's called 401k. The guy's name is Ted Bennett, if you want to look up anybody. He is known as the father of the 401k. And once 401k was put in place, what ended up happening was companies realized they did not have to be responsible for your retirement. They could put the responsibility on your retirement on you. So this is how we roll into the new paradigm, the new retirement model. As you see, the triangle has flipped. Now, you are expected to have the bulk of your retirement, which is savings. Yeah, Social Security still comes in, but for most of us, ah, we're not sure if that's going to even be around. It's supposed to be insolvent by 2030 or by 2033, depending on what happens or who you talk to. And then there's that small triangle at the top of pension. And then pension's really going the way of the dodo birds too, like I said. So it's really going to be incumbent on you to create your own retirement. And so this is why it's really important to just understand what is going on with your finances. All right. So I know what you're thinking. And yes, there's a lot more to this. What if I told you the easiest way to create all of this was? And before I go there, I'm going to ask you a question. You see this lovely picture? I stole it from Linda, everybody. So are you going to be like these ladies in the back row who are concerned about their debt, who are concerned about retirement, what's going to happen, how they're going to get through this? Or do you want to be like the ladies in the front row who've pretty much gotten their business in order and taken care of and are looking at having a joyful ride and enjoying the ride? All right. So this is your opportunity to take control of your finances and create the future you want. This can all happen with you taking the first steps to ensure your financial future. So you get access to Secret One. And this is my checklist. This is a checklist that provides you what I call the 5 lives of retirement. It talks about what are the 5 lives of retirement, what that looks like. That's where that question comes in. Does your plan cover those things? Does it cover all aspects of your life? How to create your financial support system, and then yeah, I'm sorry, your financial support team. And yes, I coined that. I like the idea of having a financial support team. At some point in time in your life, you're going to need some of them, maybe all of them, or one of them. And then the estate planning checklist. And so that is what you get access to for Secret One. So when you join, you also get access for Secret Two, which is my Tell Your Money What to Do workbook. And that workbook it's pretty lengthy. It's about 63 pages. I'm sorry, 69 pages, but it includes articles and things to do. So you got to do some writing in the workbook. But I also have added what I call managing your debt with a calculator. So I have calculators that actually go with that workbook. And secret number three, what you get access to. You're going to learn to use the Trello board. Man, that thing is amazing. So the Trello board is basically a one snapshot. It is one page with all the information that you can see. And on that, this is where you get to create your life plan, It has lots of additional information to help you create your life plan and great for continual use. So you can use it for this particular time. And then once you've reached your goals, you can actually go back through it and use it again. That's what I like about it. But it's a lot of information. It's got lots of things for you to consider and be thinking about as you're creating and planning and implementing your life plan. And there's a bonus. You can get a 30-minute meeting with me. That's usually valued for about 125. I usually meet people for about 60 minutes for about $125. But for this, I'm willing to meet with folks for 30 minutes to talk to them. And you can ask me questions about your finances. You can ask me questions about finances. That's what the conversation can be around. And then there's another bonus. I call it the life insurance info guide. This is where I talk about why life insurance is very important in your overall life plan. And so I'm pre-selling for, I call it telling your money what to do course. You can get this all for $97. However, the courses will not be available until April 1st. So if you are interested, please DM me after you've signed up. And I hope somebody wants to come work with me. No, work with me. I'm a pretty cool person. I meet you where you're at. It's all about what you're wanting to do and where you're wanting to go and how you want to get there. And I bring the resources and we can chit chat about, how to get you there. And so join my Facebook group. It's called Your Foundation for Finances. And you'll see my lovely picture on there, looking off to the side. And so that's pretty much the end of this presentation. Any questions? Oh, sorry about that.
Okay. Yeah. You can go ahead and I guess stop the share.
Okay, I'll stop the
April,
share.
thank you so much. I'm gonna put your Facebook group inside the comment section.
Okay.
So if you guys want to join April's Facebook group, you can definitely do that. I definitely recommend it. Um, because I know you're just starting your Facebook group and it's growing. So I'm very proud of you, April. And April is also looking for speakers at her upcoming bundle that she's putting together. Do you have, well, give me the sign up form once you have that so I can send it out to for those that are in the financial space and want to partner with April. But April, thank you so, so much. There was so much in there. Um, and we got like 5 minutes. If there's anyone, if you watch the replay or if you're joining us live, put your questions in the comments so April can answer them. She's inside our Facebook group, so she can look also at those questions. Miss T says, great information. She was in the comment section in our Facebook group.
Thank you.
Yes, so make sure that you guys type any questions that you may have. As I said before, the replays are going to be available until Friday, and April has also provided the replays in her course that she's offering for us as she is pre-selling. So I know that's going to go up once you get, you get going with it. So I'm just thankful that you've decided to show up with the information that you've garnered over the years as an expert in this. So thank you so much for showing up in your expertise and what you do. Because I have a lot of questions around retirement. And, we have a lot of people that are entrepreneurs. If you're also the employer sometimes, but what can we do as entrepreneurs to kind of like save up for that retirement? What would you say, April?
Oh, so they do. There are different resources that you can tap into. So, as a business owner, you can start your own what you can either do a Roth or you can do a traditional IRA or Roth IRA or traditional IRA, depending on, where you're at and how much you're bringing in and how much you're paying yourself. Because there is a limit.
Mhm.
Because it's a good thing. That's why, especially if it has Roth in front of it. So you can start your own retirement account. So that what that requires is just a little bit of setup, and there's some other things that you can do. I would just have to do some research into that. I have resources. So I have people who are like who work specifically with business owners that can give me some information, but I can tell you yes, as a business owner, you can set aside money for your retirement. There are a couple of things that you can do. It just depends on what you want to set aside, what you're looking at, how much, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
no,
yeah.
that's amazing, especially when we're building. I've sat down with many women entrepreneurs. One of the things that they want to build is generational wealth,
Right.
right? What would you say are kind of like the one, two, threes of building generational wealth?
So building generational wealth, besides just creating some kind of what, either a traditional IRA or Roth IRA for yourself, you also should think about insurance. Insurance is another way.
Mm,
Um, because insurance under the IRS tax code is called 7702. That's where if you put money into an insurance policy and you grow that upon your death, that money goes to your heirs tax free. Period. The IRS doesn't get to touch it. That's the beauty of 7702. There are some other things around the insurance or life insurance chassis that you can do that will also help not only just you that you can tap into for any kind of long-term needs or for your retirement, that upon your death that money can still go to your heirs as still tax-free money. So there are things that you can do, and the one two threes to me are, definitely life insurance, some setting aside some money, either doing some kind of Roth, whether it's a Roth 401k, a Roth IRA. I like Roth because Roth is tax-free dollars, meaning
mm.
you've already paid taxes on the money. So that money that goes into that Roth product is yours after a certain age where you don't get a 10% penalty is 59 and a half. But yes. So, and then on top of that, the other piece or the third leg of that would be some kind of private placement investment. So doing some kind of investing. Invest in things that are interesting to you, and that you want to put your money behind. So it's yeah, and so you don't. And there's a word that is like teasing in the back of my mind, but it's just not coming forward. But yes, investing is another piece of it too. So
Yeah, I
those three.
like that. Yeah, no, I've heard many things with insurance, with trust funds, and building a trust and how to set those up. And
Yeah.
I'm very thankful. Thank you so much. April, where can people find you?
Oh, um, I'm sorry. They can find me on my. You can tap into my Your Foundation for Finances, or they can reach me at zelkenfinancial.com. So
Okay.
spelling DELKEN financial.com. That's my website.
All right, thank you. So that's it for today. April, please stay on, but I'm gonna go ahead and stop the stream. But thank you all that have joined, whether it's the replay or um live. Thank you.